A black man board the luxury yacht to enjoy a peaceful day, only to have a racist cop pull a gun on him, accusing him of trespassing. But when the captain steps forward and reveals a shocking truth about who really owns a yacht, everything changes. This emotionally gripping story will leave you speechless. Watch till the end for a powerful lesson about race, assumptions, and power. Subscribe for more true-to-life storytelling that exposes injustice and uplifts powerful voices. Like, share, comment, subscribe. It was a warm Saturday afternoon on the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. The Atlantic breeze swept the marina like a whispered lullaby, ruffling flags atop towering masts and brushing against the crisp linen shirt worn by Miles Carter. Miles stood on the dock, sunglasses shading his deep brown eyes, a weekender duffel slung over one shoulder. To anyone watching, he looked relaxed but focused, like a man with purpose. At 38, he had the quiet confidence of someone who'd made it through life's battles and still kept his dignity intact. He wasn't here to make a scene. He wasn't here to prove a point. He was just here to enjoy a weekend on his yacht, the Resolute, a gift to himself after years of work in cybersecurity and corporate defense contracting. The vessel bobbed gently as Slip 34, a sleek white beauty that glistened under the southern sun. She was more than just a symbol of success. She was a sanctuary. But as Miles stepped onto the dock yacht, nodding to his captain, Elias Vaughn, an older white Navy vet with sun-weathered skin and a booming laugh, the air shifted. It wasn't the sea breeze. It was something colder, sharper, watching. Miles felt it before he heard it. The voice came harsh, sharp like a snap of thunder in an otherwise clear sky. Miles turned slowly. A Charleston Police Department cruiser had rolled up behind a secure marina gate, and now an officer, white mid-40s, buzz-cut and all muscle, was striding down the dock with his hand already resting on his holstered weapon. "Step away from the boat now," he barked again. Miles blinked. "Excuse me." The officer's name tag read Connors. His jaw was tight with suspicion. He didn't wait for an explanation. Instead, he reached for his radio and muttered something indecipherable. "Sir," Miles said calmly, "this is my boat." "Yeah, sure it is," Connors scoffed. "Got ID to prove that? Or are you just helping yourself to someone else's weekend?" Miles didn't move. His voice remained even. "Officer, I don't appreciate your tone. If you want ID, I'll provide it. But lower your voice. You're making assumptions you shouldn't." That was the trigger. Connor's eyes narrowed, and in a flash, his gun was drawn. Elias, still tying a knot at the stern, froze. "Whoa! Whoa! Officer, what in God's name are you doing?" Connors aimed directly at Miles' chest. "Hands where I can see them. Now, don't make a move." The sound of the harbor faded. Time slowed. Miles lifted his hands slowly, every muscle in his body screaming with restraint. This wasn't the first time he'd seen a gun pointed at him, but it didn't make it easier. Elias shouted, "He's telling you the truth. That's his yacht. For the love of God, put the gun down." But Connors didn't blink. His knuckles whitened on the grip of the Glock. Other boaters nearby began to pull out phones. One woman gasped. A child started crying. "Officer," Miles said again softly, "I'm not resisting, but you're dangerously out of line. You think you can just walk onto any boat like you own it?" Connors hissed. "I do own it," Miles said through clenched teeth. "Liar," Connors snarled. Then came the moment that would ripple across social media and through the conscience of the city. Captain Elias walked directly between the barrel of the gun and Miles. "You put that damn weapon away right now," he growled. "This man isn't trespassing. He's Miles Alexander Carter, owner of the Resolute, Navy veteran, cybersecurity expert, and self-made millionaire. And if you don't holster that gun, you'll be answering to a lot more than just me." Connors hesitated. Elias wasn't done. "I've captained this yacht for 4 years. I've sailed with this man to Bermuda, to St. Kitts, to Nova Scotia. And every time he's treated me and my crew with more respect than any employer I've ever had. And you? You just pulled a loaded gun on him for stepping onto his own damn property." Silence fell over the dock. A recording device was now clearly visible in someone's hand. Connor's gun began to lower. Too late. Within minutes, police backups arrived. But this time, they weren't greeted with chaos or violence. Just witnesses. Dozens of them. A woman in sundress approached Miles as he stood still, breathing carefully, now seated on a deck chair. Her voice trembled. "I'm so sorry. I saw everything. I recorded it. If you need a copy..." Miles nodded. "Thank you. I appreciate that." Captain Elias leaned over. "You all right, son?" "I will be..." Miles said, "This isn't the first time someone's assumed I didn't belong. It's just the first time someone pulled a weapon in a place I paid for." The marina's manager came storming down the dock, red-faced. "Officer Connors, step away. You're on private property, and this situation is no longer under your jurisdiction." Within 24 hours, the footage hit the internet. It spread like wildfire. Hashtag Miles Carter trended. News anchors debated it. City officials scrambled. The police chief issued a carefully worded statement. Connors was placed on administrative leave, pending investigation. But for Miles, this wasn't about trending hashtags or statements. It was about being seen, being judged by color, not character. Even when you play by every rule in the book, even when you're successful, accomplished, and lawful, you can still find yourself looking down the barrel of someone's prejudice. By Monday morning, Charleston was holding its breath. Miles Carter hadn't spoken to the press yet, but the 48-second video clip showing Officer Connors pulling a gun on a calm, unarmed black man while the white yacht captain stepped in had already surpassed 2 million views. The clip ended right after Captain Elias shouted, "This is his yacht, you fool!" A phrase that was now emblazoned across protest signs, tweets, and TikTok remixes. It wasn't just about the gun. It wasn't even just about the assumption. It was about how fragile black safety still was, even at the top. Miles hadn't left the Resolute since Saturday. He turned his phone off, ignored interview requests, and sat with Elias on the back deck of the yacht, watching the water roll. "Are you going to speak up?" Elias asked quietly. "Oh, I will," Miles answered, "but not for views, not for drama. When I speak, it's going to be deliberate and powerful." "Good," Elias said, "because this isn't just about you. It never was." Miles nodded. "Exactly." The Charleston PD issued an official apology on Tuesday. Connors had been placed on leave and subject to internal review, which many saw as a standard bureaucratic language. Local civil rights groups rallied outside the police department, demanding more than suspension. They wanted accountability. They wanted reform. But perhaps what no one expected was that Miles didn't just want justice. He wanted change. On Wednesday evening, a live stream appeared on YouTube titled, "My Yacht, His Gun, and the Problem That Won't Go Away." Miles Carter speaks. The screen opened to Miles, seated on a Resolute with a marina softly lit behind him. He wore a navy blazer, no tie, open collar. Composed. Calm. Commanding. "My name is Miles Carter. I'm a cybersecurity contractor, a Navy veteran, and a yacht owner. And on Saturday, I nearly became another hashtag." He paused. "I wasn't shot, but I was humiliated. I wasn't arrested, but I was assumed guilty by nothing more than the color of my skin and the luxury of my surroundings. This country was built on a dream that if you work hard, did right, and followed the law, you'd be respected. That dream is still too often reserved for some, not all. But this is more than just one cop or one bad day. It's about the disease of assumptions, the virus of bias, the plague of profiling. So, I'm using this moment not to get revenge, but to get results." In the same live stream, Miles announced the creation of the Resolute Project, a nonprofit dedicated to fighting racial profiling, supporting legal defense funds for victims of police misconduct, and implementing officer training programs across coastal communities. He pledged the initial $2 million in funding his own money. Corporate sponsors followed. Elias was made a board member. And the campaign slogan was simple: "Respect is not a luxury." 2 weeks after the incident, Officer Connors faced a public inquiry. The internal review concluded that while no shots were fired, his use of force violated multiple protocols, including asterisk failure to assess the situation with proportional response, asterisk drawing a weapon without threat, asterisk ignoring testimony from an on-site authority, Captain Elias. He was dishonorably discharged. But perhaps most damning, Connors never apologized. He claimed he was doing his job and that anyone will look suspicious boarding that kind of boat. That sealed it. Public opinion turned further against him, not out of hatred, but disappointment. He couldn't even recognize his failure. The Resolute wasn't just a boat anymore. It became a symbol. Miles hosted seminars for law students and officers on board. Journalists were invited to sit down and talk, not just about the incident, but about race, wealth, and assumption. One conversation went viral after a young black boy asked him, "Does being rich stop them from hating you?" Miles smiled gently and answered, "It doesn't, but it gives me the power to make them listen." Captain Elias, once a quiet sailor who preferred charts over microphones, found himself being asked to speak at conferences and even testify before a congressional panel on police conduct. When asked why he stepped in so forcefully, he answered, "Because silence is permission. And I wasn't about to let that young man face a gun while I knew the truth. You don't have to be the victim of racism to fight it." Miles Carter's story wasn't just a moment. It was a mirror, a reflection of where America still struggles and where it finds hope. He didn't fight Connors with fists or anger. He fought with facts, with purpose, and with unshakable dignity. And when people saw the truth, they couldn't unsee it. Wealth doesn't erase racism. Education doesn't prevent profiling. But character, courage, and clarity, they can change everything. And the next time someone pulls a gun on the wrong person, may there be someone like Elias to step forward, and someone like Miles to turn it into a movement. Like this story? Hit that button. Subscribe for more real stories that expose injustice and uplift truth. To share this video to keep the conversation alive.